Mina loved true crime podcasts. The darker and more twisted the story, the better. So when she stumbled upon a new podcast called Whispers in the Dark, she was hooked. The host, a man with a deep, gravelly voice who called himself Silas, had an uncanny way of recounting stories that made her skin crawl. Each episode focused on unsolved disappearances, with chilling audio clips and eerie background sounds that blurred the line between entertainment and something far more sinister. But something about Silas's stories felt off. The cases were too specific, the details too vivid. Still, Mina brushed it off as good storytelling until episode 13. In that episode, Silas described a disappearance that sounded eerily familiar. A young woman had gone missing after visiting a coffee shop on the corner of Pine and 7th E. Mina's favorite spot. The woman was described as having long, dark hair, a septum piercing, and a crescent moon tattoo on her wrist. Mina froze. That was her. She laughed nervously, thinking it was some bizarre coincidence. But as Silas continued, her unease grew. He described her daily routine with unnerving accuracy, down to the exact time she walked her dog and the grocery store she frequented. Silas ended the episode with a chilling line. Some stories don't have endings. But if you're listening, you know who you are. And you should know I'm closer than you think. Mina couldn't sleep that night. The next morning, she called the police, but they dismissed it as a prank. Frustrated, she stopped listening to the podcast and tried to move on. But the strange occurrences started soon after. Her dog barked at shadows that didn't seem to be there. She'd find her apartment door unlocked when she was sure she'd locked it. Once, she swore she heard a low, raspy whisper in her living room, though she was alone. The breaking point came 2 weeks later when she received an email from an unknown address. The subject line read, Episode 14, Mina's Final Chapter. Attached was an audio file. Against her better judgment, she clicked play. Silas's voice filled her headphones. This time, it wasn't about a stranger. It was about her. He recounted her futile attempts to report him, her sleepless nights, and her growing paranoia. Then he said something that made her blood run cold. As you're listening to this, I'm right outside your door. Mina froze, her eyes darting to her apartment door. A shadow moved under the crack, followed by the slow, deliberate sound of someone turning the doorknob. The audio ended abruptly with the sound of a door creaking open. The police found her apartment empty the next day. Her phone and laptop were still on the coffee table, the email open on the screen. Episode 14 of Whispers in the Dark was released the next week, featuring her story. Silas's final words echoed across the airwaves. And now, we wait for the next listener to join the story.